Earlier, we had talked about the importance of reading aloud to your child, and I was telling you that they they would reap the benefits of that later. The ears part of the triangle is where that really comes in. Children who have been read to and read with develop a fantastic book language. So, whenever they're reading along and they get to a word like exclaimed, well, when we're talking in everyday life, I don't say, well, Dr. Driscoll exclaimed that she couldn't believe what had happened. We don't talk like that. Books talk like that. That's book language. That's something that our ears need to expect from a book. And it happens in really specific places. That's one way that your ears can help you from being read to. It is incredibly important that we are modeling accurate vocabulary and accurate language usage for our child. I realize that there's a real popular trend right now to cut words off or to use the first part of words or to kind of almost invent this vocabulary. If we do that around our kids and allow our children to do that, we are doing them such a huge disservice because they can't use what they know about English language to help guide their reading. For instance, we don't naturally say a black big ball. We would say a big black ball. It's the way that English language works. There's not a written rule about it. It's just how it works. So when they're reading, those words come off of their tongue more easily if they've been practicing proper English usage. So when your child's reading along and all of a sudden it's not sounding right, not because it's not making sense, but because we simply don't talk like that, that's when you stop them and say, wait a minute. How would we really say this? If you were upset, how would you say it? Most likely what comes out of their mouth is going to be what's written on the book in the book page. If not, then you say, okay, that's good. Now let's take a look and see how the author put it and slow them down so that they're looking at the words that are there and that they're coming up with something that sounds right. If it's still garbled, tell them what it is and then talk about why it is that it's written like that or why it's phrased like that. Sometimes there are phrases in books that kids just don't know what they mean. And there are things that have been lost throughout our oral tradition that are no more. For instance, the phrase, well, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Well, not many people cook with cast iron skillets anymore. That really has lost its meaning to a lot of kids. So if they're seeing that phrase in a book, they're not going to understand what that means. The ear part has a lot to do with, does it sound right to English language? Can we talk like that in English language? Is that an idiom or is that something that we say, a phrase that we say in English language, like it's raining cats and dogs when it's really not raining cats and dogs outside? What does that mean? Those are all opportunities for discussion that you can have with your child.